Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Albrecht. I'm the founder and CEO of Bitbond. And it's great to be back at NOAH. Today, I want to tell you about our most recent project, Germany's first security token offering. And I want to tell a bit about why this is a superior investment, and at the same time, how other issuers can leverage what we have built with the first German STO for their own security issuances. So first of all, what is Bitbond? Bitbond is the first ever global SME lending platform. We provide working capital financing to the SMEs that struggle to get funding from banks, and by that we close the big funding gap in SME lending. Bitbond is unique because it's an international platform, and we have funded borrowers from over 80 countries already. At the same time, Bitbond, under the hood, the technology that we use is powered by blockchain and the payment processing. Today we use primarily the Stellar blockchain to bypass the SWIFT system, which is extremely slow and extremely inefficient for cross-border transfers. And so we replace that in the background with Stellar. However, our users can still get the loan paid out to their bank account or to their mobile money account, so they themselves don't really see the technology that we use under the hood. And also, Bitbond is a regulated financial institution. We operate under our own BaFin license, which is the German financial regulator. Now, what problem do we want to solve with our security token offering? We want to provide a better fixed income investment opportunity, because frankly, fixed income investments really suck the way they are today. First of all, we are in a low interest rate environment, and therefore returns on fixed income investments are just maybe above the inflation, if at all. The second problem that there is are the fees. If you invest into fixed income, you have an asset that typically has a low return, and on top of that, you need to pay fees, which even brings down your effective return after all costs. And the third problem is, and this is especially true for retail investors, fixed income investments are inconvenient because in many cases they are illiquid. Especially if you want to go into higher yielding assets, they are mostly illiquid assets that are really hard to access for most types of investors. Now, our goal with the Bitbond STO was to create something much better, an investment opportunity that addresses all these problems that I just listed. The first aspect is we want to produce a high yield asset. And we already do that at Bitbond because we facilitate small and medium-sized enterprise loans. And these loans have a target return of around about 8 to 10%. So they are a relatively high yield asset that is interesting to a lot of fixed income investors. The second aspect that we wanted to provide to the investors is a real security. Securities are highly standardized ways to invest, and the reason for that is because they are done under a very standardized and trusted legal framework. Every security has a prospectus, and the prospectus documents the offering, the terms, and the risks of the offer in a very transparent and highly standardized way, and that's why investors typically prefer to invest in securities. And the third aspect that's important to us is the liquidity and the fungibility of the asset. As I said, often higher yielding fixed income assets come from the credit part, for example, and you have to stick to these assets until maturity, and it's normally not so easy to liquidate them before maturity, which means that you can have to stick to them for 5, 10, or even more years. Now, we solve the fungibility aspect by creating a security where the proof of ownership is done through a digital token. As we know, tokens on blockchains are extremely fungible. You can transfer them peer-to-peer, you can transfer them through exchanges, but normally they are easily transferable, settle immediately within seconds. And if you do a peer-to-peer transaction, you don't even need third parties. So you can easily transfer these assets between individuals, between organizations, without the need to involve banks, custodians, or other third parties. And so these three aspects, a high yield asset, a real security, and a digital token, brought us to launch Germany's first security token offering. We call it the BB1 token, and with the BB1 token, we really reinvent how bonds function. And the features how bonds have and the way they are traded is entirely new with the BB1 token. So what does the BB1 token look like in greater detail? Well, this is not what it looks like. This is what a conventional bond looks like. A bond is a fixed income security On the piece of paper that normally represents the ownership in a bond, there's a summary of the terms, and then you have the coupons. Coupons used to be little pieces of paper that you were tearing off of the bond document. You went to the bank, and then the bank paid out the interest to you in cash or credited it to your bank account. And now we have dematerialized this entire process. Even though the bond document that I'm showing here on the slide is pretty old, in reality, today, bonds still function in exactly the same way. They are paper documents. Even though they can be transferred electronically through banks and exchanges, the underlying documentation is still paper-based. And so we have removed the paper from bonds, and we have replaced it with a digital token. And the digital token of the BB1 token is the only way how to prove the ownership in that. Now, what are further terms around the offering? So we pay a 4% per year fixed coupon plus a 60% profit participation in the investments that we do. Combined, the target return is around about 7 to 8%. So we like to think of it as a really attractive high-yield investment. The BB1 token has a BaFin-approved prospectus. In fact, we were the first out of over 130 companies that filed a prospectus for approval with the German financial regulator, with BaFin, and we were the first ones that got their prospectus approved. And so the third part, the transferability and the fungibility, we solve by the fact that we do the proof of ownership via a token. We issue this token on the Stellar blockchain. The Stellar blockchain is a protocol that is highly optimized for payments and for token issuance. Therefore, the transaction costs are really, really small. Now, so far I've spoken primarily about why the BB1 token is a superior investment for you as a potential investor. One other aspect that's extremely important is the perspective of the issuer. Why is a digital security a better way to issue securities for an issuer than the conventional way? On the slide here, we are showing the typical value chain of a security issuance. It starts out with the issuer and the underlying asset. Then you have a regulatory framework in the prospectus. Then there's a sales process. Then the security needs to be stored somehow. There has to be an exchange, so securities can be traded in the secondary market. And there has to be a way to settle these assets. And on most of the parts in this value chain, doing a security token offering instead of a conventional offering is better, more efficient, and lower cost. You have a global checkout, so everybody can subscribe to it where you have registered the prospectus. You don't need a bank for that, so you save a lot of fees. The storage can happen in digital wallets that are typically open source software that nobody needs to pay for. You can take a custodian if you want to, but you don't have to, so you can save costs here. They can be traded on global exchanges that operate 24/7 instead of having relatively old school trading hours, and settlement is always instant. The Bitbond token offering has received a tremendous press coverage so far because nobody expected actually Germany to be the country where the first security token offering in Europe would be coming from. And we were really positively surprised by that. And we just want to encourage you to also learn more about the Bitbond STO. So you can go to bitbondsto.com. Either you can invest and learn about tokenized securities. This is what we believe financial markets will look like in the future. And at the same time, you can also look at the platform, how we have built it. And we already work together with other companies that are using our technology that we have built for the Bitbond STO to make their security issuances more efficient and much, much better compared to the way security issuances are done today. Thank you very much.